Hi, welcome back to me and Mon Ami and the second episode in our series of adventures as we try and take our Citroën Ami all the way to Saint-Tropez. Today we are in the seaside town of Mandelieu La Napoule, where we're going to explore, discover the incredible story of how Oscar Wilde, of all people, ended up in La Napoule. And we're also going to visit the incredible chateau at sunset, where we have an altercation with an unruly swan. You may remember we're staying at this incredible pink hotel called the Casa Rose, where we're just about to get some breakfast. Well, that was a very, very nice breakfast, wasn't it?
Yummy.
Yummy, yummy, yummy. And we've done quite well food-wise in this town, because last night we couldn't find a thing to eat on the seafront that we fancied. It all looked a bit overpriced and plasticky, and to be honest, it was very quiet here. We didn't fancy eating here. And then we found this place completely random up the back streets there. €4, 2 main courses, which were both delicious, and a demi-litre de rouge. Bit of sculpture here. Look, it looks like an Alexander Calder in his cat phase. Don't you think?
Yes, it was the Calder, the cat period.
Interesting thing, you constantly get little planes taking off here because we're very near to, what's the airport called, Mandelieu Cannes or something? Yeah, and it's a sort of, it's a very tiny airfield, largely, I think, used by hobby flyers. Little exercise bike. Put your phone, place to put your phone on here, look. Although a bird seems to have put its phone on. And then some free weights. And what's in there, Mr. Boo? Oh, yeah.
So strong, Halloween.
What's in there?
Oh, there's a loo or a shower.
Oh, a shower. And some mats. I get the feeling this is in construction, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, I think what's quite clever about this place is you get the feeling it was built as a more or less bog standard, what I would call a sort of Pierre Vacances place, a sort of just a little holiday hotel with no airs, no graces. And they've sort of taken it on, and they've done what Ian Schrager did to all his hotels in New York. They've sort of made it a fantastic public space at the front, given it a very jazzy lobby. Painted up the rooms quite glamorously, done some nice glamorous brollies, and given it a totally different vibe. But actually, when you look behind it, it's more or less like all the other sort of small to medium scale hotels or timeshares that are sort of on these back streets. But it's definitely a groovy place to come. How much did it cost, Mr. Boo, at this time of year? Because you got it on a special, didn't you?
I got it on a special.
Yeah.
Through their site, it was 120-ish euros, and I think we paid just under 80 euros.
And the pièce de résistance is look where it is located. What's the name of this river?
The Swan.
The Swan. And you've even got your own Casa Rose boat which you can hire. I think I saw the price yesterday. It's quite steep because you have to have your own skipper and whatever, you can have it for half a day or a day, but What a lovely thing to do. And presumably you can either go down there into the ocean or upstream to, you think, up to sort of almost the Gorge de Verdun, don't you?
Well, Mr. Boo fact,
Ooh.
the river is 27 miles long from Mandelieu, there in the Mediterranean, here in the Mediterranean, all the way up into the hills. And it's actually the natural border between Alpes-Maritimes and the Var, and it goes almost as far as the Gorge de Verdun.
Me champagne, love me insane, flowers and chocolate in the color that matches my bonnet.
Oh, there's some more little pleasure craft, I think they call them, Mr. Boo, don't they? So you can pleasure yourself on the river.
Oh my.
Look at these. I have a feeling. Oh, it's a wedding over there, look. Wow. So they're heading for a wedding. How glamorous. So we love this. This ferry across the water, you think, what's that for? What do you do with that? Well, it's actually, it ferries golfers between one side of the river and the other. And here you can see the said golfers. So how glamorous. Oh yeah, and look, Mr. Boo's just pointed out, it's on a pulley. It's like a funicular for golf. It's like that funicular we went on.
An aquatic funicular.
Aquatic funicular. Well, it's all right for some. And look at the old swans over there, they're not bothered. They're just swanning around. Now, Mr. Boo, I never told you the story of how, of all people, Oscar Wilde ended up here.
You did not.
Well, it's kind of interesting, but if you know anything about Oscar Wilde, basically Oscar has now been in jail. We're in 1898, 1899. He's come out of jail. He's a total social pariah. He's done, you know, 2 years hard labour for sodomy, and he's fled Britain. Now, of course, people always think of Wilde having fled Britain and gone to Paris, which he did. And of course, Paris is where he eventually died. But there is a sort of chapter that very few people know about. And it's the chapter when a man called Frank Harris sees the sort of pit of despair that Oscar has fallen into and decides to bring him down here to La Napoule, where he's determined that Oscar will write a play with him. So anyway, Oscar arrives, and it very quickly becomes apparent to Frank that he has very little either intention or will to write this play. All he wants to do basically is drink and have relations with the local fishermen, the local fisher boys, I suspect. So eventually Harris, despairing of this, flees La Napoule and leaves Oscar here. Well, Oscar gets quickly quite bored of La Napoule and gets bored of the fisher boys, and he goes off to Cannes, where he spends his days sat at a cafe on the seafront, staring out to sea, feeling sorry for himself. So anyway, Oscar eventually grows tired of the cafes in Cannes, and he heads for some action to the bigger city of Nice. Now, of course, by this point, Oscar's down on his luck completely financially, so he's forced to check into a hotel, I think appropriately named the Hotel Terminus, which is by the railway station. But sadly, on the second night, somebody spots him, and even though he's checked in under his famous pseudonym, Sebastian Melmoth, the English person who spotted him at breakfast reports him to the management, and he's quickly asked to leave the hotel. He then moves to another hotel in Nice, and the same thing happens. Frank Harris, by this point, is in Monaco, where he's got his own hotel, and he tries to persuade Oscar to come down there and stay in Monaco. But Oscar won't have any of it because he's convinced that he will bring shame on the hotel. And it's at this point that Oscar abandons the south of France and he gets, I think, on the train to Genoa, where he goes ostensibly to visit the grave of his ex-wife, Constance, but very quickly, I think, falls in with yet another rent boy. So that was the story of Oscar in the south of France. It was the moment in which he, I guess, had a brief chance at redemption, but by this point he was probably irredeemable. And of course, soon after that he ends up back in Paris, where he dies. Right, let's go for a drive, Mr. Boo. Halloween-sized yacht. I love this old grey Fiat. What a colour. It's fantastic, isn't it? What's this?
This is the Villa Marguerite, a Belle Epoque villa dating from the 19th century, the former residence of Princess Daisy.
Princess Daisy? Never heard
Princess
of her.
Daisy of Pless.
Of where?
Daisy,
Pless?
Princess of Pless, born Daisy Cornwallis West.
Oh, Mrs. Cornwallis West.
Mm-hmm.
She was the lover or the wife of a king of England. I bet Oscar came and sat here and watched the fishermen bringing their catch, don't you? This is where I always imagine him sitting on that bench there, regretting his past and trying to block it out with young sailors. See what I was saying to you in the last video, that the further down the coast you come, the more sand there is, and this is a genuinely sandy beach. I think it's absolutely magical.
So this path here continues into Tales-sur-Mer,
Yeah.
and it's another Sentier Littoral, and it brings you out round here. You can go around the castle. It's the David Niven Walk of La Napoule.
Oh, so it goes right round and up and over.
All round and into the next port.
So you can see this is all volcanic rock. It's amazing. Look at it. It's like a sort of panto prop. You'd think you could pick it up. It's cardboard.
Clonk, clonk, clonk.
But then on the way back, the peace and calm were shattered. As we drove back towards the hotel, we saw a crowd of people gathered at the side of the water. Then all of a sudden, a man fell in. He'd been trying to stop a swan attacking another swan, but had lost his balance and fallen in. And then the swan had attacked him.
The woman was just explaining that it's one male swan guarding the whole territory, so if any other males have come, so that's why he was attacking the other male swan.
There's an alien from outside the village.
Sounds like.
Eventually, one of the onlookers pulled him out, and the alien swan went on its way. So that was Mandelieu La Napoule. Join us next time as we journey further down the coast to a place called Agay. I know. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give us a like, please give us a comment. Please think about buying us a coffee. We'll see you on the next one. Remember, stay charged.